So we're gonna take a deep dive. So I've got a setup here. I've got composition with few types of layers, and here I'm accessing my essential graphics panel with the drop menu. So I've got a solid, and it shows your or the layer type, the point of origin, layer size, anchor point value, and the position values. So these are the two things where users see this value in the timeline and they have no idea where this value is coming from. So before we do a deep dive, I would like you to read this and then pause the video. Okay, so we're looking at the anchor point and position, and they're parts of a Cartesian coordinate system. So each has an x and y value. And what's critical is this idea or this thing called point of origin. And there are 2 points of origin. You've got the composition point of origin and the layer point of origin. And we also have a composition coordinate system and a layer coordinate system. So when you come back here, so this is the top left edge of our composition, that's 0.00. So that's our composition coordinate system, and that's our composition point of origin. Now, the second coordinate system, as you read, it's the layer. So each layer or visual layer, each visual layer has its own coordinate system and its own point of origin. And different types of layers have different types of locations or different locations for their points of origin. So we'll start off with solid, and these are the values. And anchor point is 100 for x and 100 for y. And as you know, that's your anchor point. So point of origin is here, top left. So 100 pixels to the right along the x axis, and then 100 pixels down. And that's where our anchor point is. For our position derives its values from the composition point of origin, which is the top left here. So this is another coordinate system. This is the composition coordinate system. So here we're moving, starting from here, we're moving moving right by 1190 pixels, and then down by 516 pixels. So we're moving to the right, 1190, and then down 516. Good. Next, we look at the shape layer, and I select it. For a shape layer, its point of origin is the center of the layer. Hence, we see the anchor point value is 0 for x, 0 for y. And just to repeat, position values are derived based on the anchor point location relative to the composition point of origin. So we're moving 1,300 pixels to the right and then 540 pixels down. If I move my anchor point to the top left, you'll see the values change. And now we're minus 150 on x and minus 150 in y. That's because the default or the point of origin is 0. And then I've moved the anchor point to the top left. So 150 pixels to the left for x, and then minus 150 pixels moving upwards. It's negative. So I've got a few layers set up, but we're not going to go through all that. Over here in this setup, I've got a table. So this table displays different types of layers. QT is short for QuickTime. Everything else should be self-explanatory except for paragraph text and point text. And for those two, I'll jump back to the earlier composition that we looked at. So you may want to do a pause here and maybe even do a screen capture. Again, we're going to look at paragraph text and point text because those are a bit unique. Everything else is pretty straightforward. Okay, so you're going to come here. We're going to select, let's do paragraph text first. So when you select the paragraph text, you'll see the anchor point. But if you look here, it says point of origin is center of the box area. And you may think this is your box area for the paragraph text, but it's not. You need to double click, and only then will you see the actual box for your paragraph text. And your point of origin is actually right smack in the middle there. Okay, now regardless of the paragraph alignment for the paragraph text, the point of origin is gonna be at the same spot always. So what happens is your text is going to slide left, right, center depending on your paragraph alignment. Next, we'll look at the point text. Bring it a bit closer. And for this, oops, I've done something. I put in an expression, so I'm going to remove the expression or disable the expression. And now we can see the point of origin works as per the default. So we're going to start with left aligned. As you can see, the position or the location of the anchor point doesn't change as I change my paragraph alignment. So the text slides left, right, center, depending where you start from and what you select for your paragraph alignment. Okay, but what's important is this guy doesn't change. All right, your anchor point doesn't change. Its location, its value is fixed, and your point of origin is also fixed. It's just your text sliding left, right, and center. So here you're looking at the composition point of origin. And now we're looking at the layer point of origin. So those are useful notes. Anchor point, position, that's it. So hopefully this clears things up for you. Now you should know where anchor point values come from, why the values are what they are, and similarly for position. You just have to think there are two coordinate systems, one for the composition and one for the layer. And there are 2 points of origin, one for the composition and then one for the layer. Alrighty, cheers, bye bye.